Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Watercooler, episode number 229. Today's topic is WordPress Jetpack to the future. Let's go around the room real quick and get everyone introduced. Derek, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a developer on Jetpack and live in Maine, and I'm here first time. Nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, good to have you on. How about you, George? Do you do some Jetpack?
I do some Jetpack. I have been working on Jetpack related products for about the last 4 years now. I am longtime nerd, first time. Well, no, it's all been done before at this point. And I like making hacky things.
Awesome. Good to have you on.
Not like hacky sacks, but yeah.
Yep. Michael, how about you?
Yeah, I'm a designer on designer. Wait, there
Cyber
on Jetpack.
Cyber designer.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I've been working on Jetpack and WordPress.com-y stuff for not .com. I think those are different TLDs. For about 3 or so years now.
Nice. Well, it's good to have you guys on. How about you, Sarah? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wefald. I am the project manager at Zehngut Interactive. And yeah.
Awesome. Good to have you. How about you, Say?
My name is Say Reed. I teach WordPress, make WordPress, love WordPress, at all the things on Say Reed Media. On all the things at Say Reed.
Yeah, she screwed up her own intro. That's awesome. It only took 229 episodes to make that happen.
Yes.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me at Jason Tucker on Twitter, and my blog is jasontucker.blog. And I do a show both here on Fridays as well as on Thursdays. The Thursday show is called WP Blab, so go check that out as well at 7 o'clock Pacific. All right, let's talk a little bit about this Jetpack thing. So, how do you describe Jetpack to somebody who's never installed it, or maybe it wasn't forced upon them when they installed WordPress?
I describe Jetpack as a sort of Swiss Army knife of things that the average person might need.
I love that analogy. I use that sometimes.
Swiss Army knife?
Too. Swiss Army knife sometimes, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, a suite of
So
tools,
my earlier speech normally is just like, with Jetpack, we do two main things. First, we aim to provide a feature parity with WordPress.com. So anyone that wants to move their stuff from .com to self-hosted or the other way will have a much smoother time doing it. The other thing we like to do on our servers in the cloud, things that are hard for a $5 a month shared host to do, like Elasticsearch powered related indexes, so you can get better related posts, or serving images off a content delivery network. So it feels like everything we do really comes to one of these two focus areas.
That makes sense.
I call it a plugin with a bunch of plugins in it. That's what I call
like
it.
a box in a box.
It is
Like
a box in a
all the
box.
way down.
But
That
then
is
I also
technically
tell people,
accurate.
It is accurate, and then I tell people,
Yeah.
especially as more plugins keep being put into it, as just like, but I also tell people, and this is one of the main reasons that I advocate for it, because generally I don't like behemoth things that try to do all the things, but I explain to them, this is part of my explanation to them of WordPress.com versus WordPress.org, and this is one of those kind of teachable moment parts where I explain how it's connecting to WordPress.com and using those services that you could use on that service, etc. So that's how I explain it to people. I do want to say though that the login thing that suggests that you use your WordPress.com login just confuses the crap out of everybody. Everyone's like, wait, how many logins do I have? It's good times.
I can answer that. It's 3. You have 3 logins. You have one for your host, you have one for your site, and you have one for WordPress.com for your site.
Also probably your domain and maybe your Google account.
Oh yeah. I just assumed you buy a domain.
And then what about your managed WP account as well?
And then your Theme Forest account. That's real. That's real.
This podcast brought to you by.
I don't have that many fingers, okay?
So Jetpack
what's
to put a password manager into it. That's what I just realized.
so what's
That's
the most
free. You can have that one.
What's the most popular part or the most popular component within Jetpack? Like, what's the thing that everyone installs when they start using it?
Stats.
Stats.
Yeah, do you have
hands
real
down.
stats? No, I mean, do you have data on the modules that people use?
So we
Yes.
do, but the problem
We do.
is it's not easy to analyze. So for example, stats is easy because it's default on for like everybody that connects, right? So we get the assumption that everybody likes stats. I think a better thing is that we get more support requests from people that like stats than just about any other module. So I think that's a good indicator of
Well,
popularity.
not necessarily, because that would mean the stats breaks more often than any other module.
It
How
really
can
doesn't.
stats break?
Or-
Stats doesn't break. It doesn't
No,
do
no.
anything except for show
They're
you
just
things.
like you moved my cheese request most of the time. Like, where do I get this one stat I like now?
Right. You do move the cheese a lot. Let's be real.
That's entirely my fault.
As long as we're not moving it on
Finally,
for
over
sake,
it.
because that would be heavy.
Finally.
George
You
just
missed
sits here, and every every time we talk about Jetpack, he's like, "It's not my fault. It's not my fault." Now we know. Now
So you guys have done some changes recently within Jetpack. What was kind of the thing that led you to make those changes, and then how are you seeing those changes actually being rolled out now?
So are you talking about the settings?
the first
like,
set of changes.
Yeah, which set of changes?
Well, let's go chronologically. So what
Amongst the changes are.
yeah, well,
The one
maybe
where you changed the UI mega sauce balls. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
hi, Steve.
Well, hello.
So let's talk a little bit about like the first rollout of changes in 2017. How about that?
Derek, what release was that?
That was so that was Jetpack 4.3, and that was the move to a React-based interface
Yeah.
within WP admin that fully utilized the WP REST API, and it's to make it more modular, make it more fluid, make it more, I guess, familiar with those that use WordPress.com. It was also a move to go faster, and yeah, it was a step in a direction that not many plugins have taken. What I was like mostly excited about was like leveraging the REST API that was in core. That had been in core since, but it hasn't had.
9. So,
Yeah.
So basically, this allowed you to start to do more fancy fun times things with it, right? Basically just brought everything up to like the most modern kind of foundation, and now you've been iterating with it?
Kind of, yeah. So
Right.
it did let us do a lot more with the data and with WordPress, but it also let us kind of it puts us in a spot where we can sort of start utilizing what we learned from Calypso, which is a well-maintained project with a lot of people on it, and kind of pull some of those ideas into Jetpack and ideally sync up some of those places, which is sort of what we moved to in the latest release visually.
Do you guys work in tandem design-wise, or how does that work?
That's the goal. We have been recently. Usually one is ahead in some place or another. Like we might implement a new feature in Calypso because it's a little faster. Just to implement, we can control it. If it fails, we can do a little more testing. And then if that works really well, we'll bring it into Jetpack, or sometimes the other way around. But most of the time, we're trying to do it in tandem. It should work the same in both places.
It definitely feels like, I mean, we've been doing this show for what, like 4 years, 5 years?
Yep.
4.5 years. And we've always kind of joked about Jetpack that it's going to be like WordPress inside Jetpack soon. And suddenly it feels like we're actually like all of our weird like predictions about flying cars are coming true. It's all good, like with VaultPress, for example, which I recommend heavily.
Does this mean we're getting self-tying shoes as well?
Yeah, I think that's next.
So that's going to be an extension on Jetpack.
So like, for example, WordPress was recently bundled into Jetpack, and it feels, so it's like, it was bundled in there. Now it costs less, but it like has more services. It was an interesting rollout. How did that work? The WordPress, it was a very separate team, right? WordPress, Jetpack?
Yeah, it's a separate team, and yeah.
There's a lot of
what can I say?
A good bit of it is that the WordPress team has joined the Jetpack pit crew. So I mean, there's still like a squad focusing on the WordPress side of things, but hierarchically, we're the same team now. The WordPress code still is living in its own plugin right now. It's not actually in Jetpack. What you're talking about is we changed the pricing to move more towards bundles. So instead of saying, hey, you can pay for VideoPress over here, WordPress over here, Akismet over here, what have you, now you just do purchase one bundle, and it gives you everything, and we can use the interface to install and configure everything. You don't need to worry about copying API keys around. And I mean, because part of the thing was this is actually including Akismet with it, which, I mean, a lot of folks think, oh, Akismet, that's always free. Well, it's free for personal use. If you're using it in the business or anything, I don't think anyone's ever really
that little smiley face, and you're okay with it.
I don't think anyone's ever actually like been come after for using Akismet personal use for a business site, but
I pay my Akismet fee,
which we appreciate because it means I can feed my family.
Well, I just don't use it because I never wanted to pay for it, but now I'm paying for it by default. So. It's yours. I feel like the Akismet little sad face, happy face thing is akin to the thing at the pet store where it says, "Do you want to help save homeless pets?" And I'm like, "No, screw them."
Do you want to save a time by not dealing with
it? The same, right?
Say, are you also stealing Photoshop? Admit it.
You can't anymore, but I did. But,
the more I talk to people, the more I realize I think I'm the only person who's ever paid for Akismet, even before I worked for Automatic.
I paid for it.
It's just you and me.
Look, Steve writes one blog post a year, and he still pays for Akismet, so it makes perfect sense for him to have it.
For both of my spammers.
Oh, Mom. So we talked about Jetpack 4.3, but now we're all the way up to what, Jetpack 4.8. So like obviously stuff happened between there. So what was some of those things that kind of led us to where we're at now?
Well, one thing that led us to 4.8 so quickly is we actually have been trying to push out more frequent releases, and we're actually taking an approach sort of as if, I guess you can call it like a train. It's coming, and we're going to release with the features that are in at the time. 4.8, and so now we're at 4.8, and it came with a significant redesign that brought it much more close to Calypso and WordPress.com. Yeah, if you read our blog post about it, there's actually a pretty good Q&A with Michael. So
I'll have that in the show notes so folks can read it and kind of get an idea of how everything kind of led to where we're at now. But what are those major changes that people should be looking at within Jetpack that's like, okay, this is what I should now start looking at Jetpack again. Maybe I turned it off, maybe I'm no longer using it. But what are those things, those major changes that they should really be looking at?
Well, a lot of it is that the flow is a lot more cohesive now. I mean, for the longest time, the flow on it would basically be there's all these individual things that I can activate, turn on, or turn off, which very much felt like you were turning on or off a plugin. So it feels like, oh, it's just a collection of plugins. Whereas now we're shifting more towards Jetpack does a lot of different things, and you can activate or deactivate them, but it's less like, here's a list of everything, all 30 some odd things that it has in it, and now more when you're looking at sharing and getting the word out about your blog posts, a bunch of stuff that is very related in that is grouped together, and not necessarily saying this is a module, this is a module, this is a module, but more, here are some options that you can turn on or off as you like, and do what makes the most sense for you without having to learn an entire new way of organizing things inside the plugin.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I noticed-
oh, sorry, go for it, say.
I was just gonna say, I noticed that right as you're talking about, like in the sharing thing, your syntax changed. So before it was, here's publicize, and within publicize, you do your stuff. But now you've changed it. It says publicize connections, and then sharing buttons. So it's actually like it's just an adjective as opposed to like its own entity.
Right.
Also, there are no
Yeah.
headline fonts on that, and I find that a very interesting design choice. On those things, they're all the same font size.
De-emphasizing the module
Sorry.
idea and more, what can Jetpack do for you?
Yeah, exactly. So no one has to
yeah.
figure out what publicize is. They just know if they want to publicize their stuff, they can use this configuration. I think that's a really subtle but like key UI shift.
Right, and like another example is like Photon is one of our most popular, one of my favorite modules too. But so instead of saying photon, like what is a photon? We just say speed up images and photos because
right.
CDN. Right.
That's great. I think that makes it so much more accessible to the end user who does like you said, now doesn't have to learn about a separate thing and can just consider the feature. So I have to update what I say now. It's not a plugin of plugins anymore. It's just a useful Swiss Army knife.
And like I had a coworker that was asking me, they said, I was like, well, we're thinking about doing a Jetpack show. And they said, well, talk about the fact that you can actually install all these themes on your site now through Jetpack. Like, whoa, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about that.
So how did that come about? I mean, it's like, oh, here's 165 themes that you can install on your site. So have at it. Where did that come about?
I think it had been talked about for a while now within Automatic, and WordPress.com and Jetpack are just kind of one of those things that sometimes stuff comes out of left field, and like this was definitely a left field thing for the Jetpack team. We were like, oh, great, we do that now. Awesome.
And everyone's like, wow.
So a lot of those themes you could already download from the .org repo as well. There's like a little itty bitty download link on a lot of them. So it's not entirely new. It's just a little more convenient to do.
So, I mean, I'm thinking that this is along the lines of, I have a WordPress.com site. Maybe I want to put ads on my site now, or maybe I want to put a plugin in that, WordPress.com doesn't have. And I want to transition from a WordPress.com site to a WordPress.org self-hosted site. But I really like my theme, and this theme is a very specific one. Now I can still keep that theme and then migrate over to the .org site, right? I mean, that's one of the pieces.
That's the goal. We've talked about that, and I don't know much more other than like I think we're steering in that direction for more than just the free themes.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that.
I mean, we also need to be careful because there's a lot of themes on WordPress.com that are not automatic themes. There are ones from third-party partners. Other agencies that have themes up on WordPress.com. And we can't just suddenly go giving them away to everyone with the Jetpack site. So if that happens, there will be agreements and everything, profit sharing, and all sorts of things down that line.
But just it seems like an interesting way, interesting play there to be able to make that happen if both of them are in the same arena.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just that with building the centralized WordPress.com dashboard where you can manage both your .com sites as well as your self-hosted Jetpack sites. I mean, let's face it, WP Admin was made for a single site. If you're running a multi-site installation, WordPress's WP Admin is not the most intuitive way to manage multiple sites. What we run on WordPress.com was built from the ground up explicitly to manage multiple sites. It can work just as well for a single site, but if you have multiple sites, it's easier to start writing a blog post and decide where it goes. Or I want to install this plugin. Okay, which sites do you want to install it on? It's more content focused than site context, if that makes sense. So for this, we're saying if you want to install a theme, or if you want to activate a theme, okay, you can activate on your .com site or your self-hosted sites. There's no real reason that the same themes can't go on both. And previously, if the theme hadn't been cleared yet or hasn't been submitted yet up to the .org repo, you couldn't do it on self-hosted sites. So this is just smoothing things out for a more parallel, equal footing between self-hosted sites and WordPress.com sites. Because again, we don't really want to lock users into only using our services. We want to say, hey, if you want to host somewhere else, that's cool. We'll help you out there too.
Right, and provide some of the same stuff you're already used to. In this release, we shipped the WordPress.com toolbar as like a replacement WP admin bar, which for some of us old school WordPressers, it's like, oh, I love my old admin bar, it's the best. But if you started on .com and you switch off of it, it's kind of a nice way to hop between them once you're on a self-hosted site after moving.
And it's also, it also helps you take advantage if you like run a bunch of sites too, or multiple sites.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, kind of, I guess, collectively as a team, I think there's a lot of movement in like Calypso and all the stuff towards managing multiple sites. Is that a trend that you guys as a team kind of like see happening web-wise, as opposed to just like, you know, one person running their own site?
I don't know. I think that's a really handy, it's a handy part of the design, and it's a great asset once you have more than one site. But we're also trying to make Calypso and Jetpack sites just really pleasant to use in every way, like from the editor to just like all sorts of little handy, quirky power user features that we've added over time. But the multi-site is key to kind of like, if you have more than one site, you don't have to log in a whole bunch of times and all that stuff.
Right. How do you guys deal with the disparity between the admin and the Calypso interface as you move, really doubling down on Calypso, on Jetpack, on where that's going? It just is very different visually, the admin itself.
How do we deal with it? How do we deal with the disparity? Very carefully.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be confusion even on the support end of which dashboard are you looking at, like, right?
It is a difficult part of it. But if you look at the latest release, and you compare it to Calypso on the same settings page, they're nearly identical. Like, there might be a few things that aren't quite matched up yet, but it's pretty close. So we're addressing some disparity there, at least with the Jetpack settings. And then I don't know, we're still working on like some of the odder bits. Like it's a different.
Well, I don't even just mean within
hierarchy even. Yeah.
What's taking you so long, Mike?
Yeah, come on. No. You have the REST API. Isn't that all you guys ever wanted, really?
So you know what's really funny?
3 years on the show, so you know.
Let's talk about what's taking us so long.
George.
It's because George is busy with all his amiibo.
It's because I keep doing code reviews and rejecting everything. I'm sorry. I have high standards, okay?
Get it together over there.
But no, I really kind of mean
I'm
even
staying out of this one.
The disparity between the WordPress.org dashboard.
Yeah.
And that, because if Calypso looks like Jetpack, that's great. And I'm glad we don't have 3 interfaces we're looking at now, because that's like, you know, a little extreme. But that in terms of development, I mean, there's a lot of cross-pollination between, you know, people who work on core and that group of people and people, you guys and whatnot. So this has to be, there has to be some sort of fusion happening, or is it just like, are we forking? Like, is that not talk aboutable?
I don't think there has to be a fusion. I think WordPress.com is a like layer on top of it that you can choose to use or not. I don't think we're gonna fork anything anytime soon.
You're not gonna fork it all up.
I mean, really,
I think we're going to learn from Calypso's interface, and we may apply some of the things we've learned there to the WP admin interface, which we've already done a little bit of here and there.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of really cool stuff that we can do in Calypso that we don't have to be worried about 10, 12 years of history preventing us from experimenting. So we can have a much easier time doing low-risk tests and seeing, hey, how does this work for UI? Is this easier for folks or not? Without like pushing a big core dashboard update. We can do a small thing on Calypso. If it works, great. We can then offer those learnings back to core and say, hey, here's something that we found works well for us. Let's explore if that's useful for core as well. If it doesn't work, cool, we throw it away and start over.
We're also like talking slightly different audience focuses as well. Like WordPress.com, we're focusing a lot on making it as simple to use as possible, whereas WP Admin is one of those washing machines with every kind of knob and feature you can imagine. Like, and like people who love that much control love those washing machines. But we're trying to make that one.
That's a great analogy.
Couple of good buttons, yeah.
Great analogy.
Where's my Steam?
Oh geez, they want me to update my my plugin again, and oh man, now I got to put in another another activation code, and you know, yeah. Can you imagine trying to wash your clothes and then that keeps popping up? That'd be ridiculous.
That's not far away. Let's be real with the whole interneting of everything.
Hey, you never used to think you'd have DRM on a coffee machine, did you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, which is a sad thing. So where are you guys going next? What do you guys see on the horizon? This has been a year of already the last couple months of major change.
Yeah, when is Jetpack.zip going to be the thing you install first and then you install WordPress?
WordPress as a module?
Yeah,
exactly.
The next Jetpack module, I think, is going to be a complete rebuild of WP Admin via Node instead of PHP.
Oh!
Well, we said it was coming. Well, we said we should learn JavaScript. So you've been joking.
Check out my
I think we're gonna
good job, dude.
Right?
We're looking at stats. We're gonna see what we can improve to get some more useful insights. There's like 3 current stats dashboards. When you said there weren't 3 more interfaces, there definitely are for like the same thing. So we're looking at like seeing what works really the best and what improved things we can add. Talk to our data people there. We're working on lots of install and sign up and those kind of flows to really simplify and make it a little less like turn on all these things you don't know about. Like, what am I turning on? Why do I have to turn it on? Why don't you just turn it on for me? Like that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Well,
Like,
I mean, that's,
show people more what it can do.
I mean, that was always kind of my, wonderment about Jetpack is because it does so much. How do you possibly educate someone on?
I think there's things like LaTeX, like the beautiful math module that it'll just be on. It's fine. We'll talk about it every once in a while, but like every user doesn't need to know it exists right off the bat.
Or ever.
It can just be on, right? Like if you don't use it, it doesn't show up.
But the mathematicians are like, LaTeX, perfect. Yes, I can actually type this in now. This is awesome.
No, I love it.
Yeah, both of them.
There is a vibrant subcommunity of math bloggers on WordPress.com explicitly because we have that.
Yep.
Yes.
But
Wait. Define vibrant.
They have a whole social network.
Energetic community of math bloggers.
Hey, and I mean, no offense to all our math blogger fans who are out there. Both of them.
All 3 of them. Yeah, exactly. There's one more than before. As soon as
I think
if,
wait, I'll have to ask the math bloggers.
I think if you guys can have beautiful math turned on by default, then your next task you might consider taking on is turning off convert emojis. I'm just saying, because weird happy faces showing up in people's, it's not in Jetpack, but you can take it.
That's a core option.
That's not us.
I know, but
we blame everything on you guys. It makes it a lot easier.
Come on, just put
No, you
in
blame
your Bible.
Mason.
You guys know
Emoji are really important to a lot of people, and I understand that you don't like them, but everyone else does.
Emoji.
You know,
Do not get me wrong.
I asked the question yesterday of our dev team, like, oh man, it's not going to be long before you can use emoji in code. And one of our devs actually created an animated GIF of using the beer emoji.
Yeah.
As a
variable name.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say I use it in CSS like all the time. You have so many more characters to access.
Do you really?
This is our world now.
You just can't debug it in like Internet Explorer.
Well, that's okay.
Well, on that note,
That's about it, folks.
Double losses.
Well, guys, I want to say thank you very
win.
much for being on the show today, talking a little bit about Jetpack with us. We really appreciate it. You know, we usually kind of throw all this stuff at George, and George just shakes his head and tries his best to not kill us all. So I really appreciate the other two of you actually being able to jump in here and help out George defend the mighty Jetpack. We really appreciate it. So
and for our math blogger fans that are watching this show, it was just sarcasm, right? I don't need your comments in the YouTube channel, all right?
And
You are
WordPress.com supports your math, so if you want to come on over and give it a spin, or Jetpack, I guess.
All right,
Yep.
let's go. Here we go.
So make sure you go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com. Click on the links there to subscribe. We really appreciate it. If you want to figure out how to subscribe to us as both audio or video formats, we have a new page called Subscribe. So go to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, and you can learn how to subscribe there. If you like this content, hit the little thumbs up button. And that's about it. Thanks a lot. See you in the comments. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.